Good day and welcome to There is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs and I've been in business for the past 25 years. This is my podcast that I've created to talk about fitness. I love talking fitness and I love being the physiologist and, knowing the methods to the madness. I've been in business a long time, as I stated in my intro, and this is a way for me to really talk fitness and talk about the things I want to talk about with fitness. And being a personal trainer for so long, working with clients, we work with them on the half hour, the 45-minute or hour intervals when they work out, and you don't always get all of your points across because you're really, as a trainer, really focused on trying to get the best workout out of somebody and give them that proper guidance. And if you talk a lot, then you're going to really lose the intensity of the workout. So, there are other means, of course, that we use and I've done through the years, such as giving people plans. And nowadays with texting, people can text you and, that can be good or bad, of course. But we trainers always want our clients to have the information. We know if they just come to the gym 2 to 3 times a week and work out hard with strength training, they're going to see some results, but they're absolutely not going to get maximal results unless they're doing what they're supposed to be doing outside of the gym, and that's where the information comes in. I find that a podcast is an absolute great way to do that, and it can be a lot more unfiltered because it's less personal. You can get your point across without basically railing somebody that's not doing what they need to do. If it's far as stuff that's repetitive all the time, and sometimes you gotta be sharp, you gotta be harsh in your information. If everybody likes what you have to say, you're not talking to enough people. And people that know me know that when it comes to fitness, especially, that I'm going to tell you the truth, whether it hurts your feelings or not. I'm going to give you the truth. There's too much information out there that basically just wants customers, and like any business, the fitness industry can fall prey to that, and so people end up people pleasing and stuff like that, and people pleasing never really helped anybody, as we all know. So like in the podcast, it's hard to do that. I would never, of course, want to do that, and it's hard to do that because you're just speaking the truth, generally speaking, about fitness. And people hear it, and it hits them, and then it hit its mark. That's a good thing. And today's topic, I think everybody's going to enjoy. I enjoy talking about it, and that is the method to the madness behind where strength training results are driven. I like to talk about that. But before I go on, I want to thank my sponsor, because like everything, we have to pay our bills, and we have the Gilden Group Realtors with Reality Pros, and Jonathan and Lynn Gilden are awesome, and they're local to Ormond Beach, and they've got phenomenal ratings on Zillow, and they've sold over 100 million sales throughout their estate careers. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal right there. They can be reached at the Gilden Group. And I know Jonathan and Lynn, and they came to one of my fitness events I did, and they did great. It was a pump and run contest we had, Max Fit Games, I should say. And I remember Jonathan was the top runner. And I've said for years that people that take care of themselves, with their fitness, are going to be better at what they do. And we know that to be true. It was John F. Kennedy that actually said, all forms of greatness begin with physical fitness, and I've always said that I believe that to be true. And so I know that they practice that. I know that they work out. So give the Gilden Group at Reality Pros a chance if you're looking to buy and sell, because right now it's a hot market, as we all know. So let's get into today's topic. There is a method to the madness when it comes to physical fitness, when it comes to most things. And, I remember one of my students said years ago when I taught sports medicine, she heard this great quote and she repeated it. She says, I'm already a good cook, but I want to learn how to be a chef. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And, so I've used that. This was years ago. I've used that. So basically, especially trainers, and trainers are very guilty of this. I'd say that trainers don't always have the knowledge and the information to be chefs. They kind of just follow the recipes themselves, Sadly, in my field, there's no licensing. There's certification, but there's not licensing. So that means that anybody, regardless of their background, meaning their education, can study for a brief period of time, get a certification, and call themselves personal trainers. I don't believe in that. I do believe in education, and other states, 7 states, I believe, currently have licensing. Florida is not one of them. But I do believe there needs to be some licensing. And I know with every good, there's a bad. So I already know, with licensing will come some headaches. But I do think there needs to be some more, standards as far as who's telling who what. And so a lot of trainers are cooks. And I guess it's better to have a really good cook than not, for sure. So, I'm not saying there can't be good trainers out there without education that aren't good trainers. That's not true. I know some. But it's nice that everybody has the same scientific foundation. That would be nice. But, I think what we need, is really more chefs in this industry. And I believe I'm a chef. I don't follow necessarily the rules, Okay, so for example, you pick up any magazine, any men's health magazine, any what is it called? Bodybuilding.com, all these different workout things. And you can pull up decent workouts. And they list everything in what we in the industry call acute program variables. Acute program variables. All right. So those are things like frequency, how many days of the week to work out. Those are things like sets. A set, of course, is a grouping of repetitions. Like how many sets to do, 3 sets of blankety blank. Reps, that's how many times you do the movement. Percentage of load, so that's like how heavy it should be, or how do you determine the intensity. Rest variables, that's like how long you take between sets. And then there's tempo, and that's how fast the rep should be. All those things are important, of course. But why are they important? Is there something magical about those things? And the answer, of course, is no. I mean, they help you get where you need to be. They point in the direction of where you need to be. And if you just follow them as stated, as long as they're written by somebody that knows what they're doing, if you do it and you do everything else, you absolutely should see results. But I go underneath that in my exercise programming, and not because I'm special. I mean, I'm not special. I'm just some dude that, went to college and then got his master's degree in exercise physiology and just studied the hell out of this for all my adult life. I mean, I'm not special. I just do the research. I've been very fortunate to meet some of the top people in my industry. I'm sitting in my little home gym as I do this because it just gives me a cool feel of fitness sitting in here, and I got my computer propped up on my life cycle and my microphone on my bookshelf. And I'm looking at my bookshelf, and there's a couple books here by Wayne Westcott, who signed them for me and I got to meet. And, he's one of the leaders in the industry and has been for years. He used to be the physiologist for Nautilus Incorporated and helped Hammer Strength. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and drop names. That sounds pretty rude. I'm just trying to, state that I got to talk to some of the people firsthand. I've got to know some of the people firsthand in the industry. And we got to talk fitness, and, they all say the same thing. I mean, it's like, you can know your acute program variables, but man, what's behind it? Like, why do these things work? What's the method to the madness? And, there is. And the first thing I want to briefly talk about, but I don't want to go too in far depth on it because, it can get pretty technical and boring and maybe not necessary in a, brief podcast. But basically, everything comes down to the energy systems in exercise. And the energy systems are the way that we resynthesize ATP, adenosine triphosphate, to get them to the working cells, because that is the energy for the muscles. Okay, your muscles run on ATP. You think, no, they run on carbs, protein, fats. No, they don't. protein, carbs, and fats are absorbed to make more ATP. The only thing your muscles can use for energy is ATP. And ATP is stored directly in the muscles. And guess what? You only have enough for 2 seconds worth of work. That's it. Snap your finger, boom, ATP gone. So what do I have to do? I got to produce more ATP, and I got to produce it in a hurry. And that's where the energy systems come in. And that's where like the foods that you eat are broken down, absorbed, digested, and then produce the more ATP. That's what they do. Like, it's the circle of life, it's just everything just keeps on moving. So there's 3 energy systems that produce ATP. There's the immediate energy system, and it's immediate because it happens almost immediately, and it happens at the cell level. And anything that happens within a 10 to 12 second burst of energy, that would be like a sprint or a fast weightlifting set of maybe 3, 4, 5 reps tops, is done in the immediate energy system. And the substrates used are ATP and creatine phosphate, and it makes more ATP, okay? That's not where most strength training occurs. The next system is the anaerobic energy system, or sometimes it's called the lactate system. And that's where ATP is resynthesized within 30 to 90 seconds. That's it, 30 to 90 seconds, okay? That is where the majority of strength training, and absolutely the majority of muscle endurance and hypertrophy, which is size, happens. So basically, it's this simple. If your muscles are fatigued within 30 to 90 seconds, like you can't do anymore, okay, you feel that burn in your muscles, that's the lactate. Guess what? Some people hate the burn. Oh, it burns, it sucks. I was talking to another trainer today, and she's talking about how, like, some of her clients say, I hate that burn. It's like, yeah, who likes it? Lactic acid, hello. Acid is an acid, it means it burns. So, when it's in your bloodstream, it hurts. It's supposed to hurt. It's supposed to hurt, okay? But here's the good news. When you feel the lactic acid, when you feel a burn, it's working, okay? We talk about it all the time at the gym. If it's burning, it's working. So we really want to get the muscles to burn. That's in that system. So if we're feeling lactate, like if you're doing a nice set of leg extension, your quads are on fire, guess what? If you eat right, if you sleep, you're strengthening your quads. Bing, bang, boom. Doesn't care. It doesn't matter how many reps you get. Doesn't matter how much your load is, If you're going outside, and then I'll finish up the third energy system by this little segue. If you're going outside of, say, 90 seconds, getting close to 2 minutes in your set, well, guess what? You're moving into aerobic metabolism, okay? And aerobic means with oxygen. So guess what? It's no longer anaerobic anymore. So that means the set's a little too long and the load's a little too light. So they are all related to each other. If it was a heavier load, you would fatigue quicker prior to 90 seconds. So that's where load comes in. But that's the only reason why it matters in that regard. So that means it's too light. You're not really going to get the same benefits. You're still going to get some because you're feeling the activity and it was long enough, but you're not going to get maximal strength training and hypertrophy benefits because the set went on too long and it was aerobic, okay? So to recap, and I'll move on from them. The immediate energy system, anaerobic system, that's our key. That's the one we like. Aerobic system, we love that too. We just love it for different reasons, and that's not the focus of today's podcast. Okay, so there's one method to the madness point. All right, what matters is time, not reps, not sets, time. Okay, so if you go to failure within 30 to 90 seconds, somewhere in there, and you say, well, which one? Well, that's where it gets a little bit confusing. It depends on, are you more of a fast twitcher or a slow twitcher? Because we're born with either or a mixture of, we're not born either or. We all have both fast twitch and slow twitch, but we all gravitate more towards one end. If you're like a great distance runner, you're a marathon runner, you're an ectomorph, so super skinny, never been able to put on a whole lot of muscle, most likely you're more slow twitch. If you've got football player speed, like you're fast and you can sprint, you've always been a huge bench presser, most likely you're more fast twitch. If you're somewhere in the middle, you're what we call type 2A fibers or intermediate. And guess what? A lot of times people lump bodybuilders in with fast twitchers, but the reality is they're a lot more to the middle and sometimes even leaning towards endurance. So they're not these huge, massive, that's why they kind of look in between, right? From a skinny person to a larger person. So, it can get a little confusing, but the important part is if you're more of a slow twitcher, then your sets need to be closer to the 90-second mark. If you're more of a fast twitcher, then your sets need to be in the 30 to 40-second mark, okay? But let's talk about how to get there. Now, sets. Oh my God, sets has been one of the most debated thing in the history of strength training. I mean, in the 1970s, Nautilus not only created machines, and I got to know a lot of the people with Nautilus and some of the family of Arthur Jones, who invented Nautilus, and I worked with the medical director for Nautilus for years, so I know these guys. And, they not only made machines, but they were scientists, and they created a whole fitness revolution with talking about more single set strategies, meaning you do one set of the exercise to failure. And then on the far other end of that, you have more of the muscle beach mentality of Arnold Schwarzenegger and the professional bodybuilders, and they're advocating set after set after set after set, and multiple exercises per muscle group and all this. And like everything in life, the truth is somewhere in the middle, meaning that, and even the doctor who I worked with for a while used to say, it's not that like either side works and the other doesn't. It's like it comes down to, which one works for you and which one works without the least amount of damage and which one works more efficiently. So what I've always found is I definitely lean more towards what you want to call higher intensity strategies, meaning less sets, more intensity, get it done in a timely manner. I mean, look, my attention span isn't going to last that long if you give me a really long workout. And anybody, and I think most people these days are more ADD like that. And not only in the time of the workout, but like if it's the same workout like every other day because you're doing all these different muscle groups, I mean, you're gonna get bored, and you're gonna, it's gonna feel like you're not getting anywhere. So I've found that like hitting more intensity, shorter duration, less set, less exercise per muscle group workouts have been more effective for me and my clients. Absolutely. I don't like to get into the argument, single set only or 5 set per muscle group. I mean, who cares? And why can I say that? Because I'm an exercise physiologist, so I know there's a method to the madness. So I go back to the energy systems when I run into things like that. So if I'm training somebody and we do a set and we count because it's a lot easier to, but we also know like if we're in that 8 to 15 rep range and they're doing a moderate tempo cadence, then they're going to be in that 30 to 90 seconds. And sometimes if we're not sure, we literally will time people because we want to get the most out of their workout. So we know that if they're basically between 8 to 15, then they're in that rep range. And that's really why reps were created to begin with, by the way. If you did the math, you'd kind of see that was true. If you're doing a 4-second rep, just do the math. So when we're doing this, when we're training somebody and we're in that rep range and we notice like they get towards the end and they haven't hit fatigue, it's like, oh, okay. So if you're only on a single set protocol, you might say, okay, next, we don't do that. It's like, well, no, quality over quantity. It's like, let's add some load and, take a couple of deep breaths and let's go. So it's about fatiguing the muscles, and also from a psychological standpoint, some people can't train super hard. Like they just can't. Some people are freaking animals, women or men. I hate to break it to you boys, but women, you can push so much harder than men. So much harder. I can make an entire podcast on that. I mean, not all women and not all men. I mean, that'd be such a stupid generalization. But in general, man, you can take women to failure, and like, I'm just thinking of leg extension because that seems to be the one that really gets people. But, all right, hold it, and then 4, 3, 2, 1 on the way down, and they got this look of pain, and they got their look in their eyes, and they're holding on with all their dear, life left in them, and then you say, all right, 2 more, and they look at you like, what? But they do it. Sorry, dudes, but most of the time they just quit. Oh, it hurts, And guys come in with a lot more ego too. They start telling you how much weight to use, all this kind of stuff. And that gets in the way of pushing them. Not all. Got some clients that are men that are, you can push as hard as possible. And, you know, I got some women that don't want to do anything. It's true with everything in life. But in general, women do work harder. And I will, you know, I'm going to say that again. You can quote me all you want. So, you know, as we're going through the workout, we're trying to get the person to fatigue the muscles to the best of their ability. Because again, if they can't work very hard, whether they're a man or a woman, like they just can't, whether they really can't or they don't want to, then we're going to have to do more sets. I mean, we're going to have to do more work. One of my great mentors used to say, you can go long or you can go hard, but you can't do both. You know, so it's not that doing a bunch of stuff doesn't work. I've done routines like that. You know, I've been bored training for shows or something like that. And quite frankly, didn't want to work overly hard. So I worked out every day and did, you know, different stuff every day. Yeah, you can do that. I'm going to say that my best results are done when I'm pushing myself harder, regardless on the amount of exercises I'm doing. Like, I like to challenge myself here or there with pull-ups. And sometimes I flat out get out of the routine because they suck. I mean, pull-ups are hard, you know. But I'll get on this kick where I'm like, all right, so every time I go to the gym, I'm going to do more pull-ups. You know, how many? One set. All right. So it's hard, you know. So I'll get up there and crank, and, you know, I think like my best has been around 12 or 14, you know, somewhere in there. And when I'm, you know, in good strength shape, then I'm up around that 12 to 14. And when I'm starting back, I'll be like at 7 or whatever, and I'm not overly impressed with that. So, you know, I'll keep working. But like, I'm better when I take that mentality versus, all right, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do, you know, 5 sets of 5 pull-ups. Now, which one sounds better mentally? Believe it or not, that one. Even though that's 25 reps. You know, my mom going, I can get out 5 and it's not going to be that uncomfortable, and then I'll rest and then I'll do another 5. I mean, so you can take that same kind of mental concept, do it with yourself and think about it. You know, just pick an exercise at the gym and do the exact same thing I just did mentally and go, which one sounds like easier? You know, which one would I rather do right now? Because the one you'd rather do right now is going to be the easier one. That's human nature. And the one that says, you know, I'm going to, you know, warm up and then I'm going to jump up and I'm going to do as many clean pull-ups as I can. It's like, yeah, it's going to be over, you know, 30 seconds or so. But it's going to suck, right? It's going to challenge you physically and mentally, because if you're not close to your goal, you get pissed, right? So we all find different strategies how to brace ourselves. And one of those strategies is, I'll just do more volume. Guess what? We don't get better from volume. There is a method to the madness. We get better from intensity, period. And another reason why is because of recovery. If we push ourselves as hard as we can, you know, in good form, I have to say, no matter what you do, if you're not doing good form, stop what you're doing and work on doing things better. Just, it's all about form. So in other words, if you're doing a squat and you're just worried about going to failure, but you're descending as fast as you want, you're not even concerned with your depth, your spine is falling forward because you don't have a strong core, you're not forcing yourself to use your core, I mean, you're wasting your time. Are you getting stronger? Yeah, I just don't know at what. You're probably getting stronger with your good mornings, if you know what that exercise is. You're probably getting stronger, like in general, like as far as what a real ugly squat looks like, but you're not getting stronger in your glutes, in your quads, because you're not really targeting those muscles because you're not holding your spine where it should be. So it's better to do it right like that in good form, all right? So so that's just, always remember that. It's all about the form that you do it. And think, oh man, if it's intensity, aren't I gonna get hurt? You know, no. The reality is I'm saying intensity. Intensity doesn't always have to be load. Like, I don't know how many people I've trained that said, you know, I feel it more when we go lighter. Exactly. I mean, so do I. You know, I can grab 30-pound dumbbells and do lateral raises. You know, yeah, I can do it. And you probably would look at them and go, that's pretty good form. And in my mind, I'm going, that form sucked. Because there's no way I can do 30-pound dumbbells in clean form with lateral raises. So what's clean form? It means lifting the load without momentum. You know, and believe me, you can trick it. Like, I know I can make it look like no momentum, and I know there's momentum. So it's lifting the load without momentum, which means momentum is lifting the load. Not pausing. Pausing is critical because you're going to stop the movement at the top and force your muscles, in the case of your lateral raises, your medial deltoids, or your outside of your shoulders, it'll force them into isometrically, which is part of the muscle contraction people like to ignore, but there's concentric, eccentric, and isometric. That's the pause. Force the isometrical contraction to hold the muscle, okay, that's part of good form, and then lower, slower than you lifted it. So we always say at least 4, 3, 2, 1. I can't do that with 30 pounds. Maybe a couple, I don't know. And of course, that's not 30 seconds, so I wouldn't get anything out of that. I can do that great with 10 pounders, So it's not the load, man. It is the form and going the fatigue, okay? So, like, the reasons why, again, you're in the right energy system, when you do things right and intensely, you're doing the right muscle contractions, so you're getting the concentric, you're getting the eccentric. And the eccentric, which is the negative, that's the lowering portion, is twice as strong as the concentric, which means you have to go twice as long. That's why trainers always say, accentuate the negative. Go slower on the way down. They don't know why they say it. Why? Because they're cooks and not chefs. But the answer is because the negative is twice as strong as the positive. Okay, physiologically speaking, the eccentric is twice as strong as the concentric, so it needs to be held twice as long. Strength is built on the negative, twice as long. Okay, the method to the madness. So if you do that, it's going to slow you down. If it slows you down, you can't use as much load. So I'm not a big advocate of big heavy weights. I mean, it's a lot harder to train with lighter weights and do higher reps and get the failure, and it's a lot safer. So don't worry about getting hurt. If you do it right, you're not going to get hurt. That's the thing that really irritates me. I don't want to go to the gym and work out. It's like, I'm going to get hurt. It's like, no. Getting hurt is because you're not doing it right. You're either like not holding your right posture. That's fixable. You're going too heavy. That's fixable. You're going too fast. That's fixable. All those things are fixable. So it doesn't have to be that way, okay? But if we do it right, we're going to grow, okay? And then the final method to the madness, why we grow from intensity, and not that we don't grow from volume, like doing all these sets. We can get there, right? All roads lead to Rome. But which one has more collateral damage? And if you're over 40, or master's athlete, or grandmasters like me, can't believe, I'm in that category now. We need more recovery. We don't recover as fast as we used to. So if we're in that category and we do all these sets, we're training, 20 muscle groups for chest and 20 for back and 20 for quads, guess what? Are we going to get some results? Yes, if we don't break down first. And there is no way we're not going to break down first unless we're basically taking steroids, because that's what steroids do. And that's why the West Coast movement of bodybuilding, that's like the untold, it's not that much of a secret. All of them come out and admitted how much drug use they were doing. But, of course they're doing all these, major sets out in California in the 1970s and early 80s because they were taking so many steroids, and that's what steroids do. They help you recover. Again, a method to the madness. Most people don't even realize what steroids are. They help you recover. If anybody that's ever had asthma or, a bad attack of something, COVID or whatever, we take a corticosteroid to, help us recover. That's what steroids do. The only difference is one's a corticosteroid, the other is an anabolic steroid. Anabolic means growth, okay? And I'm not pro-steroid, I'm anti-steroid actually. I think, unless they're medically used, then they're dangerous. So there's that. So yes, we can do all those sets, but we're only recovering quickly and gaining if we're taking stuff that we probably shouldn't take. So that's why the method to the madness of growth is you fatigue the muscles and then you let them recover. A good friend of mine used to say, do you want to shoot something? And I'm not a hunter. I'm not into that, okay? I'm just using this analogy because it's a good analogy. If you're going to shoot something, do you shoot it with a shotgun or, like a sniper's gun, right? See, you can tell I don't even know what the hell they're called, but, anyway, you're going to zero in on it and cause no collateral damage, the shotgun is going to hit the target, but also cause collateral damage. So in the case of doing all this volume, like, we're just going to get these biceps one way or the other. We're going to hit them with every angle possible for multiple sets and da-da-da-da-da. Sure. And the collateral damage is you're not going to recover, you're not going to grow. So you can't grow because your body's trying to recover. So, there's that. Or you can say, I'm going to be a sniper. I'm going to go right in. I'm going to get to the cause. I'm going to fatigue these biceps. And then I'm going to, stick to my plan. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to sleep. And I'm going to grow better muscles. That's how we do it. So that's like the method to the madness. That's taking the scientific route towards growth. Okay? So just know this. Physiologically speaking, there is a way to grow greater muscles, bigger muscles, stronger muscles. And we trainers that have studied how to be chefs understand these things. So, I could keep going on about this topic, and I'm sure I'm going to have to do a part 2 to this because there's just more information. There's just, more information to this. But I'll stop here because my time is absolutely running out. And, once again, I want to thank the Gildan Group with Reality Pros. Jonathan and Lynn are awesome, and I really appreciate them believing in my podcast. And give them a look, everybody. GildanGroup.com. And until next time, be Max Fit and be Max Well. Thanks, everybody.